Hello traders, welcome to the weekly outlook and setups volume 267. A brand new month is ahead of us. We're going to be having a very volatile week next week, so let's lock in, let's have a look at the economic calendar and then jump into the technicals to see what is ahead of us. All right, so starting with the economic calendar, we're having on Monday already a lot of USD news. So we're having the manufacturing PMIs, very good. Then on Tuesday, we're having job openings here for the US dollar. Then on Wednesday, we're having this preliminary NFP that usually brings in a lot of volume. So keep that in mind. And then we have the services PMI. And then we also have a speech from Powell, right? And then here we have unemployment claims. And on Friday, we have NFP and the average hourly earnings and also unemployment rate as well. So it looks like an extremely volatile week. And pretty much it's an NFP week that is usually very tricky, but I am definitely going to be trading because getting into December right now, probably this week and the next week are going to be okay, because you can see next week we're also having the some monetary policy here. We're having some PPI. We're going to be having the CPI as well. And then pretty much getting into the middle here, this could potentially be like the final trading week where we have the USD interest rates. And then, of course, these 2 weeks are definitely not tradable. So again, the focus is going to be pretty much on the first 2 weeks, maybe even this one. And then pretty much it's time for holidays. They're fast approaching. So, of course, let's focus on right now and let's go into the charts to see what is going on. But this week, definitely volatile. Definitely we'll be looking to trade. So let's get into the charts. Before I jump into it, just real quick, make sure to join our free school community. We're having a lot of stuff inside, and the course that I have published here is extremely valuable. So make sure to check it out. It's the first link in the description. All right, so starting with the DXY, now what are we going to be having here is pretty much this candle is going to be closing as the market opens next week. And we're currently having a monthly bullish imbalance. That again suggests that a lot of bullish momentum is getting in. This is actually what is called like an inverted one or a balanced price range. Doesn't really matter. But pretty much the thing is that this is pretty much manipulation. What the market did, it came out to take this swing low here, right? And then just massively reverse. It came in very fast, and right now it's making that V shape. But what it's also doing at the same time is that it's also taking this very, very, very major liquidity. Like this is a monthly swing high. I think this is the previous, I was gonna say the previous yearly high, but it's, yeah, I think it could actually be it, right? So because this is where 2023 started and that is the high of 2023. So we're taking that previous yearly high right now. So that is a lot of liquidity. Now, would I expect for the market to pull back all the way down towards that monthly? That can definitely happen. But before that, is there something on the weekly to potentially push price? And on the weekly time frame, we're having this weekly bullish imbalance in a very, of course, massively bullish trend. This is the first week that we're actually pulling back on the dollar. So of course, right now, if this weekly imbalance holds and push price higher, that's going to be nice. But if we start seeing signs that this one is failing to hold, that might kind of take us back into the range all the way down into that monthly imbalance. So those are pretty much the two macro things that we could expect. It's definitely also going to depend on the economics, on the fundamentals as well. We're going to be having a lot of, for example, NFP. We're going to be having CPI. We're going to be having interest rates. We're having Trump right now as well. We're having a lot of moving parts, and usually the dollar is supposedly strong. So that is potentially going to be the main focus. This week, this hasn't happened for a while, but we're starting to get a lot of gaps, which is not very nice. So what are we having currently? You can see is every single day kind of gapped, right? So Monday pushed lower, Tuesday kind of gapped, and then we had the market gapping down all the way down here as well. So currently kind of we have a very tiny little bit of a daily imbalance that I can't even draw. That is usually very tricky when you can't draw it. And here we're also having kind of a gap. It's just not looking amazing on the daily time frame. And then we're dropping onto the hourly time frame right now. And you can see pretty much we came into that weekly. We gave a little bit of a reaction, but then we still followed through going lower, taking more liquidity. And right now, pretty much at the final of the week, we were responding. We pretty much filled that gap and we responded away from it, and also printing just a very small little hourly bearish imbalance here. So currently getting to the very end of this analysis, it is currently not extremely clear. Like, it's not one of these shouting biases where I'm like, yes, we are absolutely long. I'm definitely looking for longs. Currently, I would say on the short term, sellers are in control because we're having like a daily bearish imbalance. We're starting to see like hourly bearish structure and hourly bearish imbalance as well. But still, we are tapping into that weekly imbalance that I still think the market could potentially go higher from. But in order for it to do that, I would like to see, for example, this hourly imbalance fail, start to print bullishness, maybe tap into the daily, react, and then break that daily. And then from there, of course, that is going to be where the bias is going to be perfectly clear and it's going to be bullish. Okay. Because right now, if the market continues, for example, to be making daily bearish imbalances, if it continues to show us daily bearishness, then that could mean the market might want to go to the monthly. Okay, so pretty much on the macro side of things, you have two things to be worried about. Is this weekly bullish imbalance going to push price higher towards that high? Okay, or is this weekly imbalance going to fail and then the daily time frame is going to become bearish and it's going to push us all the way towards that monthly? Okay, so those are the two potential scenarios. I would say I am more bullish, mainly based on the fundamentals, but in order for me to go long, I would first wait for this hourly imbalance to fail, for this daily imbalance to fail, and then, for example, from here, when the market has clearly kind of went through the sell curve and then pretty much starts the buying one, then I would want to be getting in here after I see the buyers coming in. And guess what? If I see sellers continuing to kick in, I'm also going to short it. So 50-50 on the dollar, a little bit more bullish. Let's see how the others are looking like. Well, Euro USD pretty much similar to the DXY. We are once again taking that massive liquidity here and we're forming a very massive monthly breakaway gap. So what is a breakaway gap? Well, when the third candle is really running away, it's very far away from the actual imbalance. So in that case, we could potentially, for example, use a POI like this very nice buy to sell. That is like a monthly order block. That's very, very important. And then we drop to the weekly time frame and we can see that the market had a pullback week, which is pretty good, driving us into that weekly imbalance. Now I want to kind of take your attention onto something. The DXY is already deep inside that weekly imbalance. EU has not reached it yet. Okay. So we can expect, for example, the DXY to pull back a little bit deeper into that weekly imbalance until, for example, Euro USD actually taps into its weekly imbalance. And then, of course, we have kind of that same situation. Is this weekly imbalance bearish going to push price lower? Is it going to fail and then push price higher into the monthly imbalance or into the monthly order block? All right, because those are kind of our overall points of interest. And then we drop to the volatile time frame. I haven't touched EU in a very long time. I haven't traded Forex in a super long time, by the way. I'm mainly focused on futures right now, which is going great. But even the futures were very choppy this week. So nothing on the daily here. Nothing on the daily. No, we had a little bit of a bearish here. That is failing. It's kind of starting to give us signs that it actually wants to go to that weekly imbalance. And then I make my way to the volatile time frame. This is where it also like just a gap up and then it was not clear this week. We had a push up here on Wednesday, a little bit of a pullback, then just a consolidation, and we just ended up chopping around. So like I don't really have anything to work with right now on the daily and on the volatile time frame. So guess what? We just have to wait for something to happen. I would say let's wait for that weekly imbalance to tap. And then from there, I would just like to see if we're going to start getting some bearishness introduced into the market. That will be very nice because, again, the euro is definitely weaker than the dollar. So I think Euro USD shorts are always very nice. We have taken liquidity. We have pulled back right now to offer some fair value, to fill in some imbalances. And then if we tap that weekly imbalance and we start getting the bearishness, I would be very interested for shorts. Now, the long side, I don't really see. I don't see any momentum going bullish to really show me, oh, I want to go higher. Not really. So for now, I'm going to maintain bearish bias on Euro USD, which supports that bullish bias on the DXY. But first, I need to see that weekly imbalance get tapped, my entry opportunities, and pretty much for a new downtrend to form. So then I can start targeting this low. We can immediately see that GU is not as weak as EU is because EU created a monthly bearish imbalance. This one didn't. It's very balanced. It doesn't really have a lot of momentum going lower on the monthly time frame. So yeah, nothing much to extract. Now here we're having that same weekly bearish imbalance. And you can see, for example, Euro USD hasn't tapped it. This one already tapped it. So again, this shows that Euro USD is currently the weakest of all. So if you want to go short and you would like to go short on the euro, we're tapping into that weekly bearish imbalance. Now, again, is this gonna right now cause the market to reverse lower? That is what we have to see. But you can also see that the pound has been very strong. Like you can see here, for example, we're having a daily bullish imbalance that suggests bullish momentum is entering. In fact, this also formed after failing this bearish one, right? So candle 1, candle 2, and then candle 3 pretty much breaks above that imbalance. That is suggesting the failure. And then of course you can even target this as liquidity, because then this is a weak bearish order flow range. This is what I'm currently using, tapping into that weekly imbalance. So right now we're having a little bit of a supply and demand sandwich here. We're having daily bullish, weekly bearish. If you like to go short, I would wait for the market to tap this daily, react, and then break, and then potentially start to guide me lower. That will be a very common scenario here. But of course, you can also trade into that daily, provided you get some sort of an entry. But very bullish. Like, compare this price action here on EU, where we didn't really have any imbalances. It was very weak. This one just very massively introduced like this push. It had a forward bullish imbalance, pulls back, higher high, higher low, higher. Yeah, this one didn't really make a higher high, but it's quite bullish. And we are ending up the week here with this forward bullish imbalance that kind of right now reminds me a little bit more of the DXY, because the DXY also ended up like this. So let's see. I am more bearish simply because of that weekly bearish imbalance. That is going to hold more importance. But I truly need to see right now a lot of things fail. I need to see, for example, this forward imbalance fail. Then the market is going to tap the daily, maybe give us a bigger reaction. And then only if this fails, then I would be looking to jump into shorts, okay? Because currently it's very 50-50. When you're stuck between like a lot of supply and demand areas like this, the market is usually consolidating. It's usually very 50-50. And only until you clearly see that some is failing and that some is holding, then you get the clear setups. So currently, nothing much to say. I'm not going long as we're tapping into the weekly. I'm not going short because we don't get, we don't have a setup. We don't have actually a shorting zone right currently. So I'm just chilling, waiting for the market to show me what it wants to do. If it continues to pop higher with new daily bullish imbalances, then I will definitely look to continue going long. If we start reversing, I'm going to go short. It's all about the flow. Aussie dollar has turned into a very, very choppy pair. Like, you can even see it on the monthly time frame. It's like it's been chopping for a very, very, very long time. And that even started kind of to transfer onto the lower time frames. Yeah, like you can see here, the last 2 weeks have been extremely choppy. This week we kind of swept that low here, and then the market retraced and swept the previous weekly high. And then we dropped to the daily time frame, and we have absolutely nothing to work with. Really nothing. Like on the weekly time frame, nothing. On the daily time frame, absolutely nothing. And then even if I start kind of dropping onto the 4-hourly time frame, we also have nothing here. Like, there is not a single 4-hourly imbalance on AU. So I would just say, just let AU do its thing. It's waiting for something. It's very uncertain. It's probably going to wait for some sort of news. I need a shakeout on this one. I either need like a very nice pop higher to start guiding me higher. I either need a very nice pop lower to start guiding me lower with imbalances, with clear breaks of structure, with body breaks. I need to see something, because currently there is literally nothing, and it doesn't make any sense to be spending time on this pair right now and trying to figure out what it wants to do, because it literally tells you nothing. Like, just look at this price action. Like, if you zoom in like this, like, what the hell is going on? So Aussie dollar, I'm really not interested in it. There is just nothing on this pair. NZD-USD is kind of in the same boat as AU. It's also sweeping that very massive level of liquidity. However, on the monthly time frame, it's actually forming a monthly bearish imbalance, which suggests right now that if you're looking to trade like such an Asian pair, like a New Zealand or an Australian dollar, you can look to trade the New Zealand dollar a little bit better. You can see it's a lot more bearish. It's having that monthly bearish imbalance. Now, it doesn't have anything on the weekly. And the key question is this going to right now start pulling back into the monthly? Or is it going to reverse without tapping it? Now, usually, I am going to look for this to tap if there is nothing here to stop price. Okay, so if there was a weekly imbalance here, I would say, well, I'm going to go short from the weekly, but we don't have it. Okay, and right now, if the daily time frame actually starts becoming bullish, which is what you see happening right now, we're having that first daily bullish imbalance after we sweep that liquidity. Now, if this market continues to make bullish structure towards that monthly, I would say it's gonna look like nice longs, because there is nothing to stop price and push it lower on the weekly. You might say, hey, this is like an order block. Well, to me, if it doesn't have an imbalance, it's really not. If you check out also the daily, is there also something to push price down on the daily? Not really. The only little thing that I see that is unretested is this daily bearish imbalance, but I don't think this is just gonna cause the market to plummet. So this is the first pair that I see that is kind of looking a little bit more bullish, but it's not established yet. Okay, so I would wait definitely, for example, for the market to clearly close above this lower high here, to break it with a daily imbalance. And also on the 4-hourly time frame, like, it's also not the cleanest. Like, if you try to trade it this week, it just chop here, impulse higher, but also no like clear imbalances. And right now we ended up the week on a high on the 4-hourly time frame, which is good. Now on the 4-hourly time frame, we only have this guy here, but if the market pulls back to that guy, it's much better tap the daily as well. So we can have, for example, something like this as well for the bullish scenario, but I don't want to be calling longs yet on that one. I would much prefer for this one to really kind of show me first that it actually wants to go higher. And then, of course, as it continues to go higher, I will trade it towards that monthly imbalance. So let's see. It could also definitely flip lower, by the way. It doesn't really need to have something on the left to push it lower. It can just push lower without some technical explanation. Okay, so just go with the flow. I would say this is looking a little bit more bullish, but I would be very careful trading, like, for example, the New Zealand and the Australian dollar, because they have been overall consolidating. All right, let's have a look at gold. So again, the key highlight here is that we are reacting from a monthly bullish imbalance, and the monthly candle closure is going to close very nicely. It's a very nice rejection, okay? And usually when you see something like this, you can already start potentially expecting for the market to continue. Now, on the weekly time frame, we're having gold has been extremely tricky, right? Because right now, look at this. We're having a monthly bullish, but at the same time, we're having a weekly bearish. Then you can see the market goes up from the monthly, but then taps the weekly, and right now it's kind of retracing. Then you go to the daily time frame, and we had all of these daily bullish imbalances everywhere. The market all of a sudden kind of disrespected almost all of them, tapping into the very, very, very last one. That is right here. Okay. But at the same time, on the way down, it's forming this as well. So I want you to have a look what is happening here. Monthly bullish, weekly bearish, daily bullish, daily bearish. You can see, like, if you just plot all of these levels here, you can see that the market is just, it's like I don't know, it's stuck between all of these barriers, and it's like just keeps compressing until it finally, for example, decides to break out somewhere. Okay. Now you can see the last here. I hope you guys didn't get chopped on gold this week, because again, you can simply see all the confusion. And because my team, within my private community, we trade a lot of gold there. And I told my guys every single day, do not trade gold right now. It's literally stuck between all of these levels, right? Weekly bearish, monthly bullish, daily is kind of 50-50. And then you go to the 4-hourly time frame as well. And like all of a sudden here you were bullish, then all of a sudden you're bearish, then bullish. And right now it's looking bullish. It's not clear. Okay, so I would say just solely based on the monthly time frame, which holds usually the most importance, I would say I am more bullish on gold. Okay, but I clearly need to see this one pick a little bit more of a direction. Like this weekly massive retracement here, I don't really like it. So currently, again, you can see how we're ending up the week. We're ending up the week with a higher high on the 4-hourly time frame, also breaking above the reaction out of that daily bearish imbalance. What does that mean is that this daily bearish imbalance failed to push price lower to pretty much take the liquidity, and it's actually taking it on the upside, making a higher high with a 4-hourly breaker structure with an imbalance. So I am more bullish on this pair, but I would like to see once again higher highs to be created, and then potentially you can start targeting this high, because what is that gonna mean is that this is gonna mean that this weekly bearish imbalance failed to push price towards the actual liquidity, because if you're tapping a weekly zone, then you're going to be targeting a weekly liquidity, right? And then if the market is actually failing to reach that weekly bearish liquidity, it's going to go and take out the high. Okay, so this is my setup on gold overall. I really want to see the market follow through a little bit more bullish, show me some more bullish intention, and then I'm going to go long into that liquidity level. Okay, but now, of course, there is the other scenario. If the market actually fails here and starts giving me bearishness, then guess what? The first target is going to be that low, because then this low is actually going to be weak from that daily zone, because if this daily zone again fails to push price higher and take out this bullish liquidity, it's going to take the bearish one. Okay, do you see how stuck it is currently? It's like extremely 50-50, and you just have to either just bet on the direction, say, and like be one of those traders that haven't traded for a long time and don't know what trading is about, and say gold is going up, gold is going to 2720. You just don't know where gold is going, right? Just let actually show you where it wants to go, and then you're just gonna trade easily, you're gonna know the direction, and you're gonna enter with confidence, right? Don't marry any setups, don't try to forecast the market, just flow with it, right? That is my outlook on gold. It's extremely stuck between all of these levels. I'm looking for some momentum, I'm looking for more signs about where it wants to go, and then I'm gonna flow with it respectively. Well, we got some news from Bank of Japan. Inflation is getting higher, so they are planning to increase their interest rates. And with the US dollar, with the Fed planning to cut the interest rate, that is a very good short opportunity for USD JPY. And we can already see, like, for example, the last week, we actually had a very nice bearish scenario. Now, what we're going to be having is we're going to be having a monthly bullish imbalance that is going to cause the market a lot of support potentially, okay? Now, I haven't touched EUJ pretty much this whole month, and you can see this pretty much the whole month here. The last 4 weeks were extremely choppy, but then it was this week that we actually had a little bit of a shakeout. But this shakeout right now, it's probably going to take one more week, okay? Because right now, look at what is going to happen. The market is going to tap into this monthly. It's going to react. And as we're making the reaction, we're going to make a weekly bearish imbalance potentially, okay? And then from that weekly bearish imbalance, we have to then evaluate and see whether it's going to hold and break the monthly, or whether the monthly is actually going to hold and start breaking higher. Okay, so it's a little bit early to still say something about USD JPY. But of course, we expanded very nicely here. We had the news, we had the high CPI, we had Bank of Japan saying that they could be hiking the rates, which of course is very bullish for the yen, which means of course bearish for USD JPY. We're having that daily bearish imbalance. I would also like to see how Monday is going to close, to see if we're going to have yet another daily bearish imbalance here, or if the market is just immediately gonna, for example, tap into that monthly and start retracing. We really have to, once again, guys, just wait to see what is going to happen, because currently there is no short opportunity. There is nothing on the volatile time frame to just go short. Well, you could say that there is, but I would definitely not short from something like this, literally at the lower low, literally at the brink of tapping into a monthly bullish imbalance. Okay, there is no long opportunity because we don't really have any zones. So I would say I am definitely more bearish, by the way, on USD JPY, simply because of the fundamentals. I'm going to be framing a bearish bias on the fundamentals. However, we're going to need to see a little bit more confirmation. I would love for this week to pass, to then form a weekly bearish imbalance. And then from that weekly bearish imbalance, I think we can potentially start rolling lower. But I wouldn't be surprised if, for example, investors here get very bearish on USD JPY and this one just starts flushing. Okay, so any creations of daily imbalances as well, they're going to be very nice. So I'm going to wait for Monday to form, and then I'm going to evaluate going forward, because currently into the weekend, there is nothing much to say. We just had this very nice drop. I need to see some pullbacks. I need to see whether the bearish order flow will actually sustain, because that could actually be just a macro pullback for it to continue going higher. Okay, so beware, flow with the markets. Let's give us some more information, and I'm gonna update you again. Let's check out the other JPYs. I think I told you last week that there was a good opportunity on the Euro Yen, and we can see the monthly time frame is very nicely going bearish, potentially going for the liquidity maybe. Weekly time frame, we had a very nice expansion lower here. We're making a breakaway gap, which again means that we're having that imbalance here, but I would not really be looking for the market to pull back all the way up there. And then of course within that we can be looking for something on the daily. The daily time frame expanded a lot this week for the yens. We have a daily bearish imbalance here, also breakaway gap, and you can see the market does not really pull back. So my analysis on this one is going to be very simple. I'm going to be waiting for Monday to just simply pass, and hopefully Monday is going to form another daily bearish imbalance here. So Monday should not open and cross all the way up here. It should not cross this line. That is going to be our where is my invalidation line? It's not here. That's going to be our invalidation line. That is kind of going to invalidate a new bearish imbalance from forming. There it is. And then if we actually form up daily bearish imbalance, I'm going to look for it to tap and continue going lower. Once again, judging by that bearish sentiment that we're having on the JPYs. Now, I would much better trade a USDN, because right now, for example, if Euro USD actually also goes bearish, that's going to be a very good opportunity for shorts on Euro Yen. And you can see it's been getting some traction going bearish. So I will definitely be interested to see if this is going to follow through. Now, the bad thing is that this one it has been very choppy. For example, you can see on the lower time frames, like chop, 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 all of a sudden expansion, then chop, 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 and then all of a sudden expansion. If you check out, all of these expansions happened exactly at the beginning of Asia. right? So for traders who are trading, for example, during London or New York, you didn't get any luck on the JPYs, okay? So waiting for a daily bearish imbalance to form, waiting to see if I can get a trade from that. That's my overall outlook on EJ. Now, based on what we previously said, that the euro is weaker than the pound, it's going to be a lot better to trade EJ on, apart from GJ. So yeah, dropping onto the weekly time frame here, you can see we're not having a weekly bearish imbalance here. So it's not as weak as, for example, EJ is. And then we transfer onto the daily time frame. We do have that daily bearish imbalance. That is the only thing we have to work with right now. Like, for example, on EJ, we have weekly, we have we have also that daily, but it's a lot weaker, okay? This one, it's running away from that breakaway gap. It could once again also form a new imbalance on Monday, but then we don't have like a second resort, that is a weekly. I would also like to see maybe a weekly imbalance to form here, so the market should not really cross above that line, which is going to invalidate a new weekly bearish imbalance. I don't like GJ personally right now, and even if it kind of dropped to the 40 time frame, it's also a little bit choppy. Like, it ended up the week tapping into this volatile imbalance, reacting. I don't have a setup right here. It's literally at the lower low. So once again, I'm just going to wait for a daily bearish imbalance to form, pull back, and then go short. But I would much prefer to trade EJ on top of GJ. So focusing on the euro a little bit more than the pound. All right, so it's time to check out some futures, starting with ES, the S&P. We're going to be having a very strong monthly closure, making all-time highs. And in fact, just on the very last day here of this week, on Friday, we actually had an early closure at 1 p.m. Eastern, but we still managed to make all-time highs, which is very interesting. Now, the market is getting a little bit exhausted. It just kind of feels like it's getting a little bit exhausted. Why? Because you can see like the buyers, the buyer participation here on this move up was very choppy. Like, right? Just making some wicks lower, that's okay. But just right now, we are taking out the all-time highs. Okay, so is that gonna cause a pullback? Is that gonna cause a reversal? Is it gonna just massively continue going higher? We just don't know. Now, what I do not like about the futures right now is that we literally didn't get any clear zones this week. Now, I did have a profitable week, but it was very tough, and I had a losing week last. No, I'm not sure, because I'm really scalping with the futures, so it's like very hard to keep track of everything that I'm doing. But currently, we just ended up at all-time highs. You can see it was just like a very, very, very big chop until the very last hour, where we just pinked that all-time high. So currently, like, again, there is just no bias. I could say I'm bullish, but we're taking that massive liquidity pool, which is the all-time highs. So if the market does not really start forming anything bullish above it, right, some bullish structure above it, then it's a very bad territory to be taking a trade, okay? Because right now that could be up, and then we can open and we can just massively dump, and then shorts are gonna start kicking in, and we don't really have anything to work with yet. Like, we don't have a weekly imbalance, we don't have a monthly imbalance right now. It's like on the bullish side, it's just looking very bad to go long. What I'm clearly seeing right now is just these flat lows right here, and I would just love for the market to collect them all, and then for us to potentially expand going higher. But that is just me making some very macro things that I just have no idea about. So literally, guys, for the futures, I'm just gonna wait and just gonna evaluate what is happening, because currently we just took all-time highs with one big volatile candle. Are we gonna make a new volatile imbalance? Are we gonna reverse? Are we going to massively expand above the all-time highs? We just have to wait and see. That's all I can say, because there's literally no setup. All-time highs, it's always like unknown territory, so you have to wait for more context to form. Checking out NQ as well. Now, we did take all-time highs. I don't think it was this week though. Yeah, we did take it here on the first week. Then we had a pullback. Then we had a choppy week. And then this week was also extremely choppy. So this one is still kind of traveling towards the all-time high, while ES already took it. YM already is also trading above all-time high. So Nasdaq, the tech stocks, looks like not as strong, for example. And you can see here the daily time frame here is very miserable. Like, it's keeps just throwing wicks lower, but it does not have the bullishness. Like, it's not having clear bullish candles, like clear bullish trending candles. No, it's just chopped up, which is kind of very interesting for me. And why is it actually doing this? I don't know, it doesn't really have the power. But we tapped into that daily imbalance, we reacted, and right now we're kind of on the way towards kind of breaking that reaction. A break above this high here for me will be a bearish signal taking us into the all-time highs. That could be a little bit of a forecast that I could make. And then dropping onto the hourly time frame, we also ended up the week with this very nice bullish expansion. Now again, are we gonna form a hourly bullish imbalance here to potentially then start basing a trade on? That will be the first thing that I'm gonna be looking for on Monday. Hourly bullish imbalance, pullback, and continuous bullish momentum towards my first target that's gonna be that high. So this is a very quick setup on NQ, because here I can kind of give a setup, because this one is still potentially trading towards all-time highs, while ES literally ended up taking all-time highs. So right now going long above all-time highs, it's always very risky. But for example, if ES goes lower, it's probably gonna drag NASDAQ with it, and they can all both flush, okay? So let's see, this is something that I'm gonna be looking for, hourly bullish imbalance driving me into the highs. And apart from that, I really have nothing much to say about the futures. They have been extremely weak here, right? This kind of bullish push, extremely weak, giving me some information that the buyers are kind of very uncertain. There is a lot of uncertainty right now. So let's see how this one is going to be going forward into the first trading week of the month. NFP, a lot of news are incoming. Let's see. YM closing with a clear all-time highs, 45,000, crazy, right? So we're tapping that very key level. We're also coming from that weekly bullish imbalance. Again, this is something that I should have maybe paid attention to. That YM was actually the best index to be trading because it had a weekly imbalance, it had a weekly order block, and we very nicely popped higher, taking the all-time highs. And look at this, right? I mean, just compare this. Like, look at these daily candles, and look at the daily candles on ES, and look at the daily candles on NQ. Like, literally the best instrument to be trading right now was YM. It's US 30. Here is the old all-time highs. That this is usually a very nice break and retest area. Here we actually have some things to work with. We're having, for example, a daily bullish imbalance here. We're having a daily bullish. I'm just gonna drop it like this, right? That is a very good zone to potentially be looking to long from, because once again it aligns with that break and retest line. So for me, like a macro scenario could be something like this, okay? Because literally right now we're just like trading above all-time highs, trading above all-time highs. It is not the best place to be looking for buys right now. The best place pretty much is going to be if we pull back, and then as we start building the bullish structure toward all-time highs, these are going to be the best places to be going long, okay? So currently kind of similar to ES, we're literally ending up the week, taking once again, making new all-time highs. I would start expecting a potential retracement. Let's see, but it could also continue higher. If it kind of continues to go higher, if it makes 4-hourly bullish structure and continues to go higher, I would definitely be interested to go long. I don't trade YM too much, but maybe I should start looking at it, because for example, I see here on Friday there was a very nice long, and yeah, but pretty much even if you check out this week overall, this week they were all chopped up, because this week here it literally started right there on Monday. We kind of made all-time highs, then since then we have chopped up, okay? So currently pretty much within the future space, it is a little bit uncertain. We can have continuations, we can have pullbacks. So again, it's all about just waiting for the market to open, seeing what it wants to do, and then flowing with it. Well, DAX this week started giving us some bullishness finally. After again 3 weeks of a very big chop, this week we just all of a sudden started expanding. And in fact, we did take out the all-time high literally on Friday, right? Literally on the worst day to be doing that. It chopped up all week, and then pretty much Thursday gave us a little bit of a sign that it actually wants to go higher. That was on Thanksgiving, and then pretty much Friday when the volume actually kicked in, this is when we had that very massive expansion towards all-time highs. So currently what I would like to see is Monday to close, to see if we're going to have a daily bullish imbalance here, all right? And then potentially to trade long from that, because we're having that a very nice bullish introduction. I would definitely love to flow with it, but I would love to see a daily bullish imbalance created, pulled back into something like this, and then potential longs, okay? Again, very hard to catch. Like, it was very, very, very choppy until pretty much, again, you can see Friday, the very late hours during New York Stock Exchange Open, that is when we popped to all-time highs. That really sucks, because I was pretty much looking for this one to long it all week, but it just didn't provide. And then we got a little bit of a sign on Thursday. That was Thanksgiving, and then I thought, okay, maybe on Friday we could see something, and then it just massively rocketed without much of a clear entry, apart from that 1 hourly retest here. That was literally, that was the entry right there, but I didn't take it as I was trading futures at that time. So that is DAX. Volatile imbalance as well, definitely interested in those, but I would much prefer to have something on the daily to form to convince me that it actually wants to continue going higher, and then from there I'm gonna look for continuous longs. All right, to throw a little bit of a recap. Now, of course, it really depends on what the DXY wants to do, because we're having weekly, we're having a monthly imbalance. Again, the really key is to just see this week, because it's an NFP week, what it's actually gonna do. All right, is it gonna start giving us some bullish intentions to potentially go long? Is it going to start failing that weekly bearish imbalance and start going short? Because of course that is gonna decide the fate for everything else. Euro USD, I'm definitely more bearish. I would love to see it tap into that weekly imbalance and then start shorting. Drew, it's already into that weekly imbalance. It's a lot stronger. The pound is a lot stronger than, for example, the euro. So I would much prefer to trade shorts on the euro rather than look for shorts on the pound. This one, you can see it's having a daily bullish and a hourly bullish. So it's definitely a lot stronger. Aussie dollar, completely out of my list. NZUSD, very 50-50 as well. It could definitely continue going higher towards a monthly bearish imbalance, but I wouldn't be surprised if it starts flipping, going lower based on what the DXY does. Gold is extremely 50-50 as well right now, stuck between 1,000 different zones, which are in all kind of in opposing directions. So literally I'm using the hourly time frame right now to guide me about where the market wants to go, towards that high or towards this high. So wait to see where it actually wants to go. USD JPY, could be a very big macro short opportunity incoming right now, but it's going to be tapping into a monthly bullish imbalance right now. It's having a lot of daily bearishness. It could also form a weekly bearish imbalance, very likely, because the invalidation line on that one is quite far away. So we can definitely look to go shorts on USD JPY. Just be aware that we're going to be tapping into a monthly bullish imbalance that is going to cause the market to struggle a little bit. Euro JPY definitely looking nice for shorts, of course, with that bearish sentiment on USD JPY, and with the euro overall being weak. I think Euro JPY could be a very nice short opportunity. GJ, I wouldn't really look at it. And indices, ES and YM are kind of trading above all-time highs right now, so I would definitely love some sort of a pullback. NQ is still lagging behind, so the tech stocks are a little bit weaker. I'm overall long bias, of course, on the futures and on the stocks, but the last kind of few weeks with that very slow bullishness, it's kind of giving a little bit of a red flag that the buyers are not really into the market right now. So I'm definitely gonna be a little bit more careful and just, of course, flowing with it on a daily basis. Meanwhile, DAX, after an eternity here of a chop, it finally decided to take out all-time highs. So what I'm really looking for that pair is to continue making daily bullish imbalances that I can trade it higher. Okay, so that's pretty much my outlook. I'm definitely going to be focused on the DXY to literally see what it wants to do, and then of course that is going to guide me with my decisions on the USD pairs, with a main focus on Euro USD to potentially short it, and also gold if it starts picking up some direction. The JPYs, UJ and EJ are definitely not bad, and then of course for indices we just have to flow. Let me know how you guys performed this week. Let me know what is your favorite pair for the next week, and I'm gonna talk to you on the next video.